So this is my quesadilla ingredients without the mince yet. So I've just chopped up one small fresh jalapeno because I love this. I don't know if it's still available. It was limited at the time, but it might still be available. But lime and jalapeno, it's mild, so I've added a bit more jalapeno. Frozen corn, and some veggies that I have cut up and froze, which is really good for... I used to waste so much because things would go off. I wasn't utilising my freezer. So that's one brown onion. I've got a whole lot of capsicum there. Some shredded carrot, which I like to add into things to hide vegetables from myself. And I add a little bit of salsa as well, just for the flavour, but you don't want the mince too wet. So this is this grater. As I said, it's very easy to use and produces a nice fine grate. There's different size graters, but you can see it's quite easy to use. That's the fineness of the grate that I'm using for this particular one, and it's just a matter of turning the handle. It's got some oil in a fry pan. I'm making the pan quite hot because most of the veggies that are going in are frozen, so it's going to cool the pan right down, and there might be a little bit of water coming out of them because they're frozen, but we'll deal with that. Believe me, it does come out really nice. So I've added all of my frozen veggies. I've cut them pretty small because they're going in quesadillas. Just stir them around. I'm adding no seasonings because I'm adding the packet of jalapeno and lime, and then I'll taste it for salt and pepper after it's all cooked because I don't want to add too much salt with the seasoning because the seasoning's got salt in it. And that cheese, the Colby Jack cheese, is quite salty. So I've mixed them all together and I'm just going to let them cook away and take on a little bit of maybe browning. I don't know whether they'll go brown after being frozen, but it all tastes good. I did get a little bit of nice charring on some of the veggies, which is good. Right, so now I want about a kilo of this mince. I usually do 500 grams, but I'm doing a bulk one today. So you can see with the veggies, there's not a massive amount. The idea is quesadillas are quite flat and they don't have a lot of filling in. So I've bought enough taco thingos to make quite a fefew. So I'm going to do it a kilo. This is massively heavy. It weighs like almost 4 kilos, 3.89 kilos. That's heavy, I can tell you. So I'm going to add a little bit more oil to the pan, not a lot, but a little bit. These are great, by the way. I got this off Temu, and it does pour out of the spout, but also does spray oil. I usually cook all meat in batches so that I don't cool down the fry pan and all that. I didn't do this with the kilo of mince. I'm wondering now if I've made a mistake and I should have cooked it in half kilos. Damage is done. I'm going to keep chopping away at it and hopefully it'll get cooked eventually. Yeah, I might end up taking half of it out and then cooking that and then cooking the other half. I'll see how I go. I did end up separating the beef into 2 lots because I found there wasn't enough room in the pot to chop the mince up. So I I separated it. The only time I usually cook like more than 500 grams of mince is when I make lasagna, and I usually soak the mince in red wine overnight, which works on all the connective tissues and makes it nice and fine. But yeah, so I'm ready to put the next lot of mince in now. Don't know if you can see that the mince did come out okay, pretty fine. Could go a little bit finer for my likes, but it'll do. And that was my fault for overloading the pan with well over a kilo of mince. Okay, all the mince has been returned to the pot. I'm going to add in some of the seasoning now, not all of it. Probably try maybe half a packet first, because you can always add more, but you can't take it out. I'll add that. Now, it's got salt and garlic. I don't add garlic to this because I like a bit of a difference between my meals, and a lot of my meals have garlic in it, so this doesn't, although it does have garlic, dried garlic from the seasoning. The next thing I'm going to add is some salsa. So the idea is we don't want it wet, but we want the moisture and the flavour. So I'm not going to add the whole jar. I'll just add maybe that much for now, and we'll see how we go. I'm going to be eating quesadillas for quite some time. I think a little bit more of the salsa is called for. I'm going to turn the heat right down now. Now I'm going to add the veggies. I think I could have doubled the veggies. I'm used to making half of this amount, so I would have liked more veggies in there. There are veggies in there, but I would have liked more for not only flavour, but also, you know, adds a little bit of difference. Now, I'm going to taste it. The only thing left to add, which I add when it cools down, is the lemon juice. Lime juice. And the reasons I want the lime juice to be fresh, I don't want it to be sort of cooked in. So I'm going to give it a taste and see what we think. Oops. A donation to the floor. The cat might like it. Oh, probably not. That's good. Just the right amount of seasoning too. That's good. Okay. The mince is a little dry. I think I might usually make it a bit more fat in the mince. But it's very nice. The flavour is really good. Okay, so I'm going to turn that off. Let it cool down. Then I'll add the lime. And then I'll start making the quesadillas once it's all cool. The lime juice, I added a full half and then probably a quarter after that. So 3/4 of a lime, and that really just elevates it so good. Now I get these Coles white wraps. I was getting other brands, the more expensive ones, but they just stick together. The Coles ones don't, they're really good. So I add that out, and I have washed my hands, but I'm the only one eating these anyway. So I add some of the cheese to half. Then I add some of the mince. Look at that, doesn't that look good? So I'd say probably I've got 2 dessert spoons of mince there. Press it down, maybe a little bit more, maybe 2.5. Okay, a little bit more cheese on the top. Fold her up like so, and I do the squishy-rooski, push it down, and then fold the baking paper over, and that's how it goes in the freezer. So the quesadillas are all done and parcelled up ready for the freezer. I used 2 8-packs, so that's 16 quesadillas, and used up pretty much all of the mince. The last quesadilla was a little bit on the thick side. It's either the last one's a bit big or the last one's a bit small, but you know, big's good. I used probably half of a block of Colby Jack cheese, and as you saw, the veggies, 1 onion, I think probably about half a carrot, a handful of corn nibbles, some capsicum, probably 1 capsicum, the equivalent thereof, and 1 very small jalapeno. Could have used more of the veggies, and if I'd used more of the veggies, it would have bulked it up. I probably would have got 20 instead of 16, or maybe 18. No, probably 20. So it's just lucky for me that the wraps came in a pack of 8. So these will go into the freezer. They're very easy to reheat, and they are delicious. I served them with some avocado, some sour cream, and a pico de gallo, which is just tomatoes and chili and onion chopped up with some vinegar and all that. So like a fresh salsa. Delicious. Sometimes I just eat them on their own with a bit of sour cream if I don't have all the other stuff, but they're very good. So I'll take it out, still wrapped in its paper. And what I like to do is microwave it for a bit. Still wrapped in its paper. I'll give it 1 minute and 20 seconds. Now, when it comes out of the microwave, it's actually quite hot, but the reason I microwave it is because it's frozen. And I find that if I cook something from frozen, something so small from frozen, the outside of it cooks before the inside thaws. So I'm just going to give the fry pan a bit of a spray. Okay. Then I'm going to empty this packet into it. So this is a warmed up quesadilla. It's all sort of soft at the moment. Now I'm going to turn on the fry pan. And I'll turn it to low. And the reason I don't preheat the fry pan is because I want it, again, to cook through slower than it does to crisp out the outside. So it's just sitting in the fry pan at the moment. And while that's cooking away, I'm going to be just putting some sour cream and a little bit of salsa out, ready for it. Next time I'm going to try reheating it in my air fryer, but that's only brand new and I'm still getting used to it and I know what I'm doing on here. It doesn't take long to cook, but it's the beauty of having it in the freezer ready to go when you want something to eat. Now there's just me here, so I just do the one with a little bit of salsa and that's plenty. Okay. So I am just going to flip this over. It's nice and done on one side. And now I'll just cook it for the rest of its time on the other side. Remembering that the fillings were already cooked, but were frozen. It's really just heating it up and crisping up that tortilla. Okay, so the last thing I like to do is I just stand it on its side for a little bit to get that edge crisped up. A little bit. And then over we go. Right, so this is how the meal looks. When we cut it, it should be nice and crispy. So basically we've got our food like that. So here is our dinner. We've got our quesadilla, all toasted and browned. It actually is coming out on the screen a little bit more browned than it is. We've got my salsa, sour cream, and lime. So there is a little bit of lime juice in the salsa, but I do, and in the quesadilla mix, but I do like to put a little bit more on, fresh. And let us take a bite. We want the end of the quesadilla. And we can see, oh, it's falling out. We can see the beef and the cheese in there. Get a little bit of sour cream on the end. That is so good.